I wanted to talk today about, indeed, how to be more what I call psychologically attractive. I know we have a prospective Rotarian here today who is a psychologist, but this phrase that I use, psychologically attractive, is this idea of being able to present yourself or your brand, your product, your service, your Rotary Club, whatever it is that you're marketing, in a way that people would find you instantly appealing. Now, you wouldn't be necessarily wanting to sell to everybody you meet because it might not be a good fit, but it's nice if people are predisposed to liking you in advance, and then maybe even if you're not a fit for them, they would refer you to somebody else, so there would be a way that somehow that they could do you a favor and vice versa. So I wanted to talk about that in a general sense, but I also wanted to talk about marketing your great Farmington Rotary Club as kind of a demo, as kind of a case study about how you could put some of these practical examples into play. So this idea of becoming instantly likable is not an easy thing for some of us to get our heads around. You can imagine that most people walking into a room have a certain expression on their face, and sometimes the expression can be described as binary. You know, it's either this or it's this. And most people do not walk into a room with a smile on their face. Most people walk into the room with what's called a neutral face or a resting face. It's the same face that you'll have in your casket. And so when you walk into a Rotary meeting, for example, and you're not smiling, you wonder why more people don't join your club. It's because you're walking around looking like a dead person. And so what I teach clients, certainly salespeople, leaders, to do is walk into the room with a smile on your face, because what happens is people make very serious decisions about you in the first 5 or 10 seconds of an interaction. I've read studies that people who hire prospective employees decide within 5 or 10 seconds whether or not they're going to hire you. They've already seen the resume. Someone else has already interviewed you 2.5 times. They've already decided everything except how you walk into the room. It's interesting that people often say, I can't remember somebody's name, because that's not really what's happening. Have you ever said that phrase, I can't remember his name? I think I might have said it to you a minute ago. I can't remember his name. Now, if you just met the person 5 minutes ago, it's not a memory issue at all. What kind of an issue is it? Attention. It's an attention issue or a listening issue. You didn't really hear it in the first place. It's not that you didn't remember it 5 minutes later. So the trick to remembering names, I'll share this with you. It's called, I actually named this because I needed a name for it myself. I call it cluster imprinting, which is this idea that I would flood my brain with images of the person's name. I'm a visual person, so if your name is Debbie, I might say, and you tell me your name is Debbie, I repeat your name back to you immediately. So that's 2 times my brain is getting your Debbie's image within a half a second. So she says, my name is Debbie. I say, Debbie, nice to meet you. That's twice. I say, is that Debbie with a Y or Debbie with an I? She says it's Debbie with an I-E. That's like 5 times now the word Debbie's gotten to me, and each time it's become sharper and sharper. I repeat it back. Debbie, nice to meet you. What do you do for a living? I might say, Debbie, have you met my friend Phil? Phil, Debbie. That's what, 8 times now. And what do I say to Debbie before I excuse myself? Goodbye, Debbie. Nice to meet you, Debbie. Will you excuse me? So I will never forget Debbie's name, and now neither will you, because I've flooded your brain with images of Debbie's name. The other thing that we've discovered in my club is that it's really important when you're bringing in new members, prospective members, that you strategize how this works. For example, there's one person in the club that's usually best at recruiting and bringing people in, and that person would be the one who you want to sit next to the recruit, the new member. And in my club, until we actually started putting our thinking caps on about this, the prospect sat next to whomever. It was always random. But if one person in the club is really good at chatting the person up, if one person in the club is extra psychologically attractive, why wouldn't you have that person sit with the new member every darn time? And so that's a very nice formula for growing your club. When people ask me what's Rotary, I tell them Rotary is the best decision I've ever made. Is it brief? Yes. Unique? Yes. Psychologically attractive? Well, I don't know. What do you think 99% of people say when I tell them Rotary is the single best decision I've ever made? What do you think everybody says? They'll say, why is Rotary the best decision you ever made? Now, that's a good elevator speech, you see, because I'm no longer selling Rotary. They're interested in Rotary. You hear the difference? And that's a huge shift when it comes to selling or recruiting. Huge.